All right, so now that we've added the likes, the next thing we need to do is add comments. So there's going to be a few things, one of which is going to be actually adding the comment to the database, and then we need to display the comments, etc. So luckily, we've already created a function earlier called add comment to post that sends in the post index. So we're just going to test this out and make sure everything's all good. So we're going to do console.log post index. And now if we click on the comment button, ideally, it will just say 0, 0, and then 1. So quick recap of how we did that. We have this post HTML. Add comment to post is called when we click this button, which sends in our post index. And that lets us know when we're in this function, which post we're trying to access. So now that we have our post and we have access to our console.log, we can actually start creating our comment. So we're going to do var comment, and we're going to make this an object. So there's going to be name, which is going to be user.displayName. So we also need our user. So name is going to be user.displayName. And then we're going to have content, which is going to be the text box ID plus post index dot val. Okay, so if we go back up to our comment input, it is post new comment. And we actually forgot to add the index here. So we're going to make sure we add our post index. So we're going to do dash end quotes plus post index. So it'll be post dash new dash comment dash post index. So post dash new dash comment dash post index dot val. Okay, so that should be our comment. And then immediately after that, we're going to want to take our comment input box and we're going to want to empty it. So after we've submitted the comment, we want to clear out the comment box so that it's obvious that we made the submission. In order to do this, we're just going to send in empty quotes. Okay, so then we need to do post.comments.push comment. If we go back to Firestore, we're going to have this update post. All we need to do is call that because we already have our post. So we're going to call update post and we're going to send it our post. Then we're going to save and we're going to refresh our page and see if that works. So under one more test, I'm going to write this is a comment. And we're getting an undefined, so I'm going to look into that. So this is simple. So when we click our like button, we want the functionality to be right there. But our comment button technically doesn't do anything. If we wanted it to do something, we could technically make it so when you click it, it like automatically focuses this. But we don't want our on click to be on our comment button. We want the on click to be on our arrow button. So we're just going to cut that from there. And we have this on click equals display comment, which was filler text. We're going to delete that. And we're going to paste in our on click for our add comment to post. And then let's give that a refresh. Let's make sure nothing got called here. Cool. So let's try this again. New comment. Click the arrow. Syntax error. Unrecognized expression. Post equal. Okay, did I put an equals instead of a dash? I did. Did I do that multiple times? I did. So it has to be post dash new dash comment. Does that mean I did that up here too? Doesn't look like it. So as you can see in programming, it's really easy to just make a typo. And if you don't know exactly what to look for or you weren't looking in your console, that could take you hours to figure out. But luckily we have a rough idea what we're doing here. Let's try that again. It's still doing that. Post equals. So there must be another one. Oh, I didn't save. Programming 101, folks. Okay, let's try this one more time. New comment. Okay, so we're getting another error, invalid data. Okay, so I'm not sure why it's giving invalid data. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure that's not actually adding anything. Okay, so we haven't altered our post in the database. So we're just going to take a look at this add comment to post. Oh, there's another typo right there. Post dash new dash comment. Let's try that again. Comment. These are getting shorter every time. Okay, we have another invalid data. So we are going to comment out update post, and we're just going to console.log our post and see what exactly is happening here so that we can figure out what the invalid data is. Okay, so let's expand this. Okay, so it did add our comment. It's got name as Tim and content as undefined. So that's probably why we're getting the data problem. So that means it is not getting it from here. And that is because we didn't put the pound sign in front of it. Let's try that again. New comment. Still saying content is undefined. So actually a good idea would be to right click this and see what the ID is. So it is post dash new dash comment dash nothing. So we've actually made a mistake in assigning the text box. So if we scroll up to here, we take a look. Oh, okay. So you'll notice that we have these single quotes beside the ID. So if we end a single quote early, it will end the ID. So we actually want to end this single quote after this post index. So let's save and retry that again. So as you can tell, you really have to use the console because it's really easy to just make a whole bunch of typos when you're typing out a bunch of code. So you want to get used to figuring out exactly what's going wrong just like this. And that's sort of why I'm not cropping it out and I'm including this in the video, is because this is stuff that people run into very frequently. Now, I'm not sure why the page isn't loading. There we go, just a little slow. So let's try it again. Now, it doesn't look like we have any errors. Ah, and I got our content. Great. So now we're just going to on-comment our update post so that it sends the data to Firebase now. And ideally, this just works. New comment. Okay, so there's no error. And it added our comment. Great. So now if I add another one, second comment, it'll just keep adding comments. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of a recap because I know there was quite a bit messed up there. So up here, we had this button right here where we were calling a function when you click this comment button. Right now, for now, the button's not going to do anything. It's just going to be there. Then we moved that function down into this on click onto the add comment to post. We're setting in the post index so that when you click the comment button or when you click the submit comment button, it will know which post we just clicked it from. Then when we go down to add comment to post, it basically just looks like this. So we grab our post, we can get rid of this console.log now. We get our user and then we create our comment. It is an object. The name is the person's name that created the comment. And the content is the jQuery post dash new dash comment dash post index value, which will be here. So this would be post dash new dash comment dash 0. And then we take that text box and we empty it afterwards. Make sure to have the semicolon. Then we push our comment into our post. And then we update our post. So now the next thing that we're going to have to do is actually work on displaying the comments underneath here. So we're going to need to create an HTML template that will allow us to do that. Okay, so since we don't actually know how many comments there are going to be, and we're going to be able to add comments to posts on the fly, we're going to create a add comment to post HTML function, similar to how we added our add post to HTML function. So down here, we are going to add a container, but then we're not actually going to add the comments in that container. We're going to have another function that handles adding comments to the container. So we're just going to get rid of the semicolon because we're going to add on to this now. So we're going to create a new div. Its ID is going to be post. Oh, whoops, make sure that you use single quote. It's going to be post dash comments dash container dash, and you guessed it, post index. And then we're going to end our ID. And then we're just going to do class equals post dash comments dash container. Okay, and then we want to close off of our div. And then we are going to end our div. Now I accidentally put this outside of the string. Make sure you put it inside of the string. Okay, so now we should have this div that will be empty. And we're going to refresh our page and just make sure it's there. Okay, so it's just displaying our HTML. And that is because I didn't put an intro bracket onto the start of the div. This is why we do things piece by piece, so that we can test it along the way. Okay, so that looks a little bit better. I'm going to right click this, write a comment, and click inspect. And then below our post create comment container, we can see we have this post dash comments dash container dash 0. We spelt our class wrong, so I'll fix that. But other than that, it looks good. I feel like somebody's watching me make these typos as I'm going, and they're just screaming at me, and I'm sorry. Okay, so let's make that next function. So create comment HTML. We're going to send in a comment. Then we're just going to do var comment HTML equals div class equals post dash comment dash container plus p class equals post dash comment dash name plus our comment dot name. So this is going to display the person's name, and then we're going to end our paragraph. Next, we need to display the actual comment part, so the content. P class equals post dash comment dash content plus comment dot content. End that paragraph tag, and then we're going to end the div. And then we are going to return this value. Okay, so now we have a function that creates our HTML for a single comment. So now we need a function that will deal with all of our comments. So right above it, we're going to create a function called setComments. This is going to take in our post index. And then it's going to take in a variable called limit. And the reason why I'm going to have this limit is because we don't want every single one of our comments to display. So for example, if somebody has 50 comments, we don't want it to default display those 50 comments. We might only want it to display 2. And then we're going to have a show more button, which is going to expand it. So for now, our limit is just going to typically be 2, but I will show you guys that functionality later. So we need to do var counter, because we want to keep track of how many or which comment we're on as we loop through them. And then we're going to create our post, or we're going to get our post, from our post index. So then we're going to empty our comments container. So every time we do this, we're going to reset it and then re-add all of them. Post dash comments dash container dash plus post index dot empty. So as soon as we call set comments, it will delete all comments. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to call set comments when we first load in a post, and it will add our comments. But then if we click show more, it's just going to empty out the comments list and restart from scratch. And then we're going to have a variable that keeps track of all of the comment HTML, because remember, we're going to have multiple comments. So we're going to want to create multiple. So we're going to have var comments HTML equal to an empty string. And now we're going to loop through all of our comments. So for var I equal to post.comments.length -1, while I is greater than or equal to 0, I minus minus. Now this is a loop that we have not seen before. So usually we start our loop at 0, we declare I and set it equal to 0, and then we would do until I is at a certain number. But the thing is comments are going to be a little bit different, because we want to display the most recent comment rather than the first comment. So we're going to start I at post.comments.length -1. So I've explained this 1,000 times with the array, so I won't go into it again, but like if there's 10 comments, then the 10th item would be the 9th index. So post.comments 9. So we're going to start I, for example, at 9. And we're going to keep running our loop while I is greater than or equal to 0. And then every time we run the loop, it's going to subtract 1 off of I. So I will start at 9. Then I'll go down to 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And then the loop will end, which will allow us to run through every single comment in our array. And it is dynamic because we're doing post.comments.length -1. So hopefully that makes a bit of sense. Okay, so now we're going to increment our counter. We're going to do counter plus equals 1. Then we're going to say if counter is greater than or equal to limit, then we're going to break out of our post. Or we're going to break out of our loop. Okay, so this is what we're using our counter for. So basically, let's say limit is 2. That means we only want to display 2 posts right off the bat. Makes sense. So if our counter is greater than limit, which in this example is 2, then we want to stop adding comments. So then we're going to grab our comments HTML, and we are going to add our create comment HTML function. And we're going to send in post.comments I. Okay, so remember, our create comment HTML takes in a comment, uses the name and the content to actually return our HTML. So what we're going to do is we're going to loop through every single comment in our array and add this HTML to our comments HTML. So our comments HTML is going to be a giant list of this for every single comment that we have. So our comments HTML will continuously add this create comment HTML function. Then once we're done the loop, we're going to grab our ID and jQuery for our posts list. So it was called post-comments container. So we're going to grab post-comments-container- plus post index. And we are going to append our comments HTML. So that was a whole bunch of stuff. What is the likelihood it all works on our first test? Let's check it out. Okay, so we are not getting a comment here. That actually is because we have not actually called our set comments function. So we're going to do that at the bottom of add post HTML. So we're going to call set comments post index, and our limit is just going to be 2, so we'll limit to 2. Now it's really important that you call set comments after we append our post, because remember, our comments are going to be adding to a container that is supposed to already exist. So if we don't append or prepend our post, then it won't be able to grab this information. So just make sure you put set comments at the bottom. Let's try refreshing again. Okay, sweet. So we have Tim and we have second comment. Now, did this only have one comment? Okay, so it's actually completely not displaying the first one. So we'll have to look into that. Also, of course, it doesn't look good yet, but that's fine. We'll figure that out. So we need to figure out why it is only displaying the first comment. Okay, so I see the error. We need to move this counter plus equals 1 down below the if statement. So I figured that out. So if we refresh, cool. So we've got Tim and we've got second comment. All right, so we're gonna try and style this a little bit. So we're gonna right click and click inspect so that we can check out this post comment container. So we are going to give it a display of flex direction column. Then we're going to give it a margin left, maybe like 8%, a little bit, yeah, definitely less. 3% is fine. We're going to give it a background color of ghost white. And then we are going to create a border, 1 pixel solid black. Then we're going to give it a border radius of about 10 pixels. Okay, that should be good. Then we want to give it a bit of a padding left, maybe like 3%. 2 is fine. So then we also want to add it to the right side, 2%. We're going to give it a padding top, maybe 1%. So we'll give it a padding bottom of 1% as well. Although I guess it probably doesn't need it down there. We'll notice these paragraphs have margins. We're going to get rid of this one right here, margin dash bottom 0. We're going to want to give it a bigger padding bottom. So we'll give it the padding bottom of 1%. We could even technically bring it to 2 and it'd be fine. Then we can just create everything as 2. Now this is a little bit big. So what if we just made our width like 50%? That's a little bit better. Then we're going to want to go to our post comment name. Let's make this bold, font size bold, or sorry, font weight bold. Then I'm going to want to make this closer together, so I'm going to give it a margin of 0. Okay, so now we've taken our margins away. We've made our title bold. It's looking quite a bit better. This isn't being applied to the second comment though, so we can't really tell how they all look. So we're going to want to create a post-comment-container class in our CSS. So we're just going to copy all of this. Then we're going to go back to index.js, and we're going to go to index.css. We're going to create a post-comment-container. And we're going to paste all of that stuff in there. Then we have post-comment-name and post-comment-content. So post-comment-name, going to give it margin 0, and then font weight of bold. And then we need to add our post-comment-content, and we're just going to give it a margin of 0. So that's a lot of stuff. Let's refresh our page. Okay, so some of that didn't actually add. So it looks like this post-comment-name got messed up a little bit when we created it. So we're going to Control F post-comment-name. So there's a double equal sign here. We're going to get rid of that. And hopefully that fixes that problem. Okay, so then we're also going to want to space out our posts a little bit. So we're going to grab this post-comment-container, give it a margin bottom of like 2%. Can even go a little bit more, maybe 4%. So margin bottom, 4%. Okay, so our comments are looking pretty good. I don't know if you guys like the width 50% or not. We could make it the same width as our write a comment section. That might be ideal. Or maybe you want to make it a little bit smaller and then make the margin left bigger so that it falls into the middle of here a little bit, like that. The styling's really up to you. I definitely recommend playing around with it. For now though, we're just gonna leave it as is. So now we're gonna add a really long comment to test it. This is a really long comment, exclamation mark, and then we're just gonna copy it and add it. Now you'll notice the comment doesn't automatically add, so we're gonna have to fix that as well. Yeah, so the width being this small doesn't look very good. So we're gonna increase it to be about the size of this container. So we can just go with 75%. Great. Now, updating the comments when you create a new comment is really easy. And the reason why is because we created the set comments. And then we just scrap all the comments and empty them out and then re-add them as soon as we do this. So we don't really need to worry about anything other than calling set comments, which will just redo it. So we need to call post, or we need to send in post index and limit. So if we go down to where we add our comment, we update post, and then we're going to call our set comments, post index, and we'll send in our limit of 2. And now if I refresh the page and I type in new comment, let's see if that works. Okay, so as you can see, there's new comment. It pushed this one down here, and then there's another one, but we can't see it right now. So the next thing that we're going to add is going to be a show more or a show less little paragraph down here.